Hey, hello everyone. Hope you all are having a great day today. I am so glad to be here, and hi and welcome to all of you to my first stream for the Social Good Global Hack Week. I am actually really excited about this stream, so I hope all of you have registered and checked in for the workshop so that we can send you more material later on if needed. If you don't know where to check in, I will be showing you a link on my screen very shortly. But if you are on our Discord server, you can just go check out the announcements that I made and you will find the link that can be used to register and check in. Actually, I'm just going to drop it in the comments. Might be easier to just copy paste from there. Yeah, there you go with the link to register and check in for the event. Once you're done with this, I will love to talk more about what we're going to do today. Yeah, and I hope all of you are also as excited as I am about this stream. I see a lot of familiar names in the comments, and it's nice to see all of you again, and I'm glad that we're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in and talk about like the whole title of this stream, right? I'm saying we're going to fight misinformation, and we're talking about science communication, but these might be new to some of you. Maybe you're in this tech. These are not exactly very closely related to the tech space. But I want to talk a little bit about how this project came to being and how in today's stream I plan to show all of you how to create an open source project, how to contribute to one, and then this is a project that I hope after our streams are over can still survive. So I hope that we can make pull requests to it, we can open issues, and hopefully make it like a bigger project. So that's where we start from this stream and make this a little bit bigger. So this project idea actually started 2 years ago at a hackathon. And hackathons are a beautiful place. So I did a hackathon with CERN, which is where they gave us multiple project ideas and we had to pick ideas that we sort of liked and then work on creating them over a period of a week and maybe a month. We did a lot of like market and user research there as well. And the project that we worked on was around science communication. Now, is anybody here like more familiar with what is science communication, or if you've ever met a science communicator ever before? You can just drop in the comments if you've heard about it or if you've heard of a science communicator. Okay, have all of you heard of Neil deGrasse Tyson? No. Hi to everyone who's just joining. I'm talking about science communication today. And okay, let me show you his face and maybe then it'll okay. Do you remember seeing this guy somewhere? He talks a lot about astronomy and he's trying to make like basically space and astronomy accessible to more people who don't maybe understand how the universe works, right? Okay, so I see a lot of comments here saying that yes, you've seen him or you've heard of him. So obviously he is a science communicator. He's a scientist, but now what he's doing is like a lot of talking about science and making it accessible to people out there, right? So why am I talking about building a platform for this? And like, I'm just sharing a little bit of the context so we're all on board about what happens. So we all are aware that a lot of our information these days comes to us through, say, WhatsApp messages, social media, and in general, not all of us are skilled or learned enough in science to go through research papers and to understand what things are. This is where science communicators enter the picture and make our life easier because they try to simplify the scientific researches that have taken place and they try to share that knowledge with the general public. So a lot of YouTubers are doing this, a lot of people on social media are doing this. You can think of like there are so many YouTube channels now. I can think of the series called In a Nutshell, and then there's obviously Hang Green making his stuff. They're all sort of, a lot of them, what they're trying to do is just make science a bit more accessible by going through a lot of dense stuff so that everybody doesn't have to. But then thinking about it, Veritasium, yes, a bit of like stuff is maybe not correct in Veritasium anymore, but yeah, great channel. Exactly, conveys my point. But yeah, being a science communicator is not easy in the sense that you have to create a lot of content, you have to gather a lot of resources, and very often science communicators end up doing the same work again and again. And obviously the examples that I shared were more of the popular ones that are on YouTube, but there's a lot of outreach program that other scientists do. Say in the field of particle physics, there's a lot of misinformation. For example, I can give examples at CERN where people think that starting the machine is going to create a black hole and stuff like that. That is where it's important for like science communicators to convey the real work that's happening in science organizations or in universities, and it's important to also simplify what is happening in these places to the public, because at the end of the day a lot of space agencies or science organizations are public funded, which is where again like the whole role of science communication becomes very important. Okay, I'm seeing a few interesting questions. I'll get to them. Sorry, I got distracted by the stream questions. Yeah, coming back to my train of thought. But yeah, like we know, we don't really have a nice central platform where a lot of these resources are available. Be it presentations, be it blog articles, be it Instagram stories, be it simplified research papers or like good research papers, like good images, stock footage, videos, animations. There's so much stuff that science communicators make, but often they do this in isolation. So over 3 to 4 series over this week, we will try to create such a platform that can be used by these communicators across different fields. I actually have a brief design that we made later on that I'm hoping would be helpful and useful for us to actually get started, else I would have to spend a lot more time just sitting here and doing the design with all of you, which would have been a lovely exercise. But in this series I want to focus more on building this project. So obviously by the end of it we will end up with a really nice project, but at the same time we'll also learn stuff about web development, about using GitHub, and just contributing to say an open source project. So how does that sound to all of you? And now I'm going to address a few questions that are up here. Okay. I see that people have heard of science communication. Good to know that. A lot of people have not also, and that's perfectly okay, right? That's what these streams are for us to learn more and understand more through them. Yeah, people saying they used to watch, seen him in podcasts. We were talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, I guess, here. A question here: will the session be helpful in applying for the MLED fellowship program? Well, if you're talking, if we talk about it in the sense of gaining experience and then being able to work on your own project, I think it will be very, very helpful. But if you mean that just being here on stream or working with me today is going to help fast track the process anyway, that's not going to happen. But I think this can be a great opportunity for you to understand how projects are built and maybe then build your own project as well. Okay. Prerequisites. So I didn't think about prerequisites too much, but yes, so I will primarily be using JavaScript because we're making a web application. So if you have some familiarity with React, that would be good. I will try to explain things as I write code, but obviously this is not going to be too educational. So if you have a little bit of background there with React, that'd be helpful. For the server, I would actually love to do a GraphQL server for this. I think that can be really useful. And I actually did an intro stream on GraphQL last month. So well, if you attended, that might be helpful here. But again, while we create the GraphQL API, I will also be walking through how to make it. And trust me, I've written very little code beforehand for this project. So we will be doing a lot of coding together. And I'm talking about that in just a second. Having a GitHub account would be useful because this project is on GitHub and we will be using that organization and repository to create our project now. Okay, perfect. So I just joined. What did I miss? Okay, I'm going to give like a brief summary for anyone who just joined. We are building a platform where science communicators can share information, get information from other people, and just make it easier for them to share their knowledge around different areas. So right now the scope of this project is not really to meet, like to have like all the general people on this platform and it becoming a place where you can learn about science. Well, that could all obviously be the the broader goal, but to start with a smaller vision, we want this to be a platform for different scientists and science communicators to come on here and, well, share whatever they've done. Yes, thank you so much for summing that up. Yeah, so glad to see all of that here. I will now like to show you all. This is sort of like a design that we have in place. This is so it would be interesting to have a profile for every person who joins the platform, and then we can sort of have all the contributions that they've made to the platform sort of here as, like, you know, all the different stuff that they've uploaded. Then it might be interesting to have a list of all the stuff that they've downloaded as well. And then currently we don't expect there to be any paywall or anything like that, but later on, maybe if you want to make a premium version of it, then you can charge based on how much people download images, videos, content like that. But right now there is no paywall that I intend to create, so we can sort of like think of not having the downloads for now. I think that'd be okay. Then obviously, yeah, it's like think of it as maybe creating like a LinkedIn or a GitHub feed. Speaking of GitHub, I'm going to move to it in just a second. Yeah. Sorry, I have been asked what browser am I using. I am using Safari. Please don't kill me. I actually I keep switching between Safari and Chrome, but all my login are on Safari, so I was like, I'd use Safari for this. Yeah. Okay, so there is that, and this is the GitHub organization that I have for this project. Again, it was created a very long time ago, and we never actually got the chance to finish this project. So I am actually thrilled about bringing it here. So on GitHub, you can actually create an organization for free, and inside an organization, you can have many different repositories. So as you can see, there already exist projects here. And I actually did start working on a web application, and I was using Nest.js, and it was all fun and everything. But then since I didn't have time to finish it, and I'm starting it here on Scream, we will actually create a new repository and start fresh, right? There are actually more things here. Like, let's see that. Yeah, okay. So we'll first create like this search page, and we want to create like a nice powerful search where, you know, you can just go through all the different kinds of content that you can get on the platform. You can see like a list of featured stuff here. Again, these are like design mockups. It would be lovely if we could replicate this, but I am not going to be very like too ambitious about how beautiful it turns out to be, but we're going to try our very best to make it as sleek as possible and as neat as possible. And then this is the resources tab where you can find like all the different resources, and we can provide like different kinds of filters to it. So that is the idea here. Okay, let me see. Yes, so this is like the upload page. This is like a very basic design of how this could look like. And yeah, this is how content would look like. Here you can download stuff, follow links, and, you know, just, yeah, I think you all get the general gist. We can start working a bit on it. Yeah, this was all for buying stuff, which we might probably skip, so that's okay. Yeah, so we can actually get started with making this. Do we have okay, yeah, we have questions about the link. So I am going to now create a new repository here right in front of you, and meanwhile gives kind of a Discordish feel, I think. Yeah, because I like the color scheme, it's a little bit like that. Yeah, okay, GitHub repo link. Yes, so because so many particle silo projects already exist, we'll just call it web. And fighting misinformation through a science communication platform. Okay, so there's that. This is a public repository, so all of you can access it. publish to a license. We're going to give an Apache. Actually, you can just give it an MIT license. We can actually read about the licenses here. So actually, let's check it out, because if you're creating an open source project, you want to use the right license for it, right? We can just go to chooselicense.com. Okay, which of the following best describes your situation? I need to work in a community, I want it simple and permissive, and I care about sharing improvements. So, okay. I think, yeah, I want it simple and permissive, so I think MIT license makes the most sense. So I'll just leave it at that, create an MIT license, and then we create this GitHub repository. Oh, I have never actually used my mechanical keyboard on live stream, so this was the first time I was using it. Glad to see that it had an ASMR-ish essence to it. Okay, so this is the code repository that we have, and now I am going to share the link with all of you. So there you go. For ease, if anyone wants to type it out, it's github.com/particlesilo/particlesilo-web. It's pretty long. Could create a smaller thing for it, but never mind. Yeah, so now for anyone who is new to Git and GitHub, what you want to do is actually, I can show it to you. No. Okay, we can close Neil deGrasse Tyson from here now. Try to keep this whole thing clean. Okay, I already have too many terminals open here, so okay. So here we are, and let's say I want to clone the project that I just created. So I can first create a new directory for Global Hack Week, and once I've created that, what I can do, and you don't need to create that, it's just something I did, just copy this URL here, type git clone and paste it. Make sure that you have git installed on your systems. If you don't, you can follow, just search git install, and on Linux and Mac it should already be installed, but if you're on a Windows system, it's possible that you don't have git bash and stuff installed, so just make sure to do that. I'm just wondering if you all can read the text on my screen, or if I need to magnify it a bit. Any comments there? Bigger terminal would be nice. Okay, so okay, let's see if I can. Nope, nothing's happening. I'm sorry. I tried to find a shortcut to magnify my screen since I've never done that before. If anybody knows how to do it, please let me know. Let me see, does it have a magnifying glass or something? Nope. Okay, if anyone knows a shortcut, please let me know. I'm too lazy to Google this right now. Yes, so we can all clone it here. That would be step one, and this also gives you a little bit of intro into how work happens here. Then today I'm actually trying to be a little bit more organized, and we'll try to use all this GitHub stuff here. Right, Command Shift plus plus. Okay, let's see, Command Shift plus. Oh my god, that was genius. Thank you. Okay, this screen should be more visible now. I mean, it's gigantic for me, but I'm hoping this is more visible for all of you. Yes. Okay. Yes, so we will be, first of all, I want to do one thing. In settings, I am going to disable directly pushing to main. Let's find that option. No, pushes. Nope. Okay. All right, so I'm going to disable push to main GitHub. So like such basic things, but like you forget where it happens, right? Add. branch protection rule. Wait, sorry, not this. Okay, add new rule, then we'll give the name. Okay. Requires a pull request before merging. Requires approval. Yes, I would say that, because right now I'm doing this on live stream. I don't want there to be a lot of like spam pull requests. So let's just say we require approvals. Yeah, everything else is like, it's not that important right now, so I'm going to just leave it. Okay, time to authenticate this, and I'm going to get my screen off here. Okay. Let's see. Authenticator. Oh, by the way, it's a good practice to just have like a 2FA on your GitHub. Make sure to do that, especially if you ever work on more private projects. Yes, okay. All right, we're verified and we're back. So yes, we have added a branch protection rule, so none of us can directly push to main, which is a good thing. Next, what we'll use is the projects folder here, and we'll create a new project. Let's just create a new project here, and yeah, so we're going to use a board, and I find it easier to move things around on the board. I've gotten used to using Jira lately quite a lot, so makes sense. So we'll just have a basic Kanban right now, which is to do, in progress, and done. It's also good practice to sort of have another column that says ready for review, because a lot of times you say as a developer have done the work, but there's still not like a person of authority who hasn't checked if the work is actually done. Like, you know, it could be just like basic testing that's to be done or stuff like that. So once that is done, you can then say like done. So it's just better to have that. Thank you for people who already dropped the repo link. You all are lifesavers. So yeah, now here in to do, we can just add all our tasks and create them. We'll put the tasks here and then create issues out of them. So then it'll be easier to assign them and then attach them to PRs and all that stuff. Okay, so first thing we want to do is create initialize a project, initialize a new Next.js. How am I writing Next.js? How do you write Next.js? Next.js project with Tailwind CSS. I'm sorry if you don't like Tailwind CSS. I just got really used to their design language over the past 1 year, and I find it a little convenient over other platforms. If you have a preference, you can use them for your projects, and they're all pretty similar. But yeah, for this project right now, I'll start with Tailwind CSS. If you can pitch like a bigger reason to me why I shouldn't use it and why I should use something else, I would love to hear those opinions. Yeah, but I'm not very good with design, so I sort of trust the way Tailwind CSS does stuff, you know. I see there are a lot of pro Bootstrap people here. I have never been a big fan of Bootstrap. Let's just, okay, we'll leave this conversation here now. With Tailwind CSS, and yeah, so that's our first task. Our second task would be to initialize a backend server using Express or Nest. If any of you has any of you ever worked with Nest.js before, it's actually very structured. It's very much like Angular in that way. I'm also like not very good with Nest.js, so I'll be, you know, sort of maneuvering it with all of you if we do choose to go that way. But I think we can sort of keep it simple, so let's skip Nest. With GraphQL, yeah, so we initialize a server using Express with GraphQL, and For the database, I think this time I will stick to Postgres. So now the reason why I am choosing a SQL database over a NoSQL database is a bunch of bad experiences I've had with NoSQL database recently. I just feel like a relational database often gives you a faster query time than non-relational databases. So I actually just prefer to use that. So we will be using Postgres or MySQL, whatever. And a SQL database. Yeah. So that's the first step of the whole process. Then we build a search page. No. Build a build a search page, and then we will expand on it. Also feel free to add issues, since I know all of you will be able to access it. Well, data-driven CSS is just inline CSS. I 100% agree with you. I'm not going to change your mind. I actually think it's just easier for people who can't write CSS. It's a little counterintuitive. Anyway, I'll leave that debate for now. Okay. So, yeah. Let's just start with these 3 very simple things, because I'm sure all of this is going to take time. Okay. So, we have cloned our project here. Let's open VS Code and like do everything else there now. I will increase the size for this. Yes, I trust the authors. This size should be good enough for all of us. Okay. Now we enter here. Actually, I opened the wrong terminal. Let me go inside it. Okay, we just have a license file, and now we need to start our projects. So what we need to create is actually Next.js project, right? So let's open the documentation for Next. We can, I'm going to skip the start learning, but this is a really good resource to sort of understand how Next.js differs from other React frameworks. And it's very good for actually like server-side rendering and stuff like that. So, yeah. I'm just going to go back and open the documentation. Yes. So we can just set it up using npx here, and there we go. Okay, we can do that. They have created a create next tab. Oh, also, sorry. Actually, I think it would be really good for our future selves if we created a TypeScript project. And it's a good learning opportunity, don't you think? So let's just use the TypeScript template. It's going to be a little painful sometimes to like manage all the types, and no, sorry, what am I doing? Talking and coding is not always the easiest thing. Yes, our project is called Particle Silo. Should we call it that? Would you like ESLint? Yes. Would you like to use src directory? Yes. Let's see what is the experimental app directory, since I have no idea what that is. But it doesn't really, yeah, okay. So let's see, we are trying to experimental app. Okay, since it says experimental, I'm going to skip this for now. Okay, yeah, so it is going to do a bunch of the basic stuff for us. Very curious about the new expand. It's actually been a while since I used Next.js, so this is definitely a learning experience, as I would say. Yes, so while this is happening, oh, this is done. Okay, so now here we can see it created a folder for us. Okay, never mind, all good. I'm just gonna rename this here, and actually just let it be this is not the best way to have configured this, but we already had a license file in our Git repository, so it's just a little bit annoying, this directory structure, but maybe it will be useful, who knows. Yeah, so here we have our basic stuff, and let's look at our packages on. We can see star commands here, basic TypeScript configuration. So it has done all of this heavy lifting for us. So we can first go and run our app. Oh, I don't have yarn anymore. Okay. Sorry, that was stupid of me. Okay. So now here we see address already in use because I am running another application, but it should let me change the port. Would it not? Okay, never mind. We can just give it a port there to start from a different port. Okay. On build. So hey, great to see that you're joining the stream from your iPhone. Glad to have you here. You didn't miss much. We are creating a platform for science communicators to share resources with each other, so you know life is easier in general. Yeah, and we're exploring a lot of web dev stuff and GitHub and open source stuff in the process. Okay, so obviously we're going to use Next, Tailwind, and GraphQL with Express. All right, so we have built this. Let's start it. We have our server ready. Let's go and check it out. Localhost 3002. Okay, so this is the basic dummy stuff that Next gives you. We don't need much of it, but let's see what templates they have. Interesting. Could be useful if you're trying to create something super quick. Anyway, we're not doing that. We have sort of a design in place. So yeah, okay. So now that we have this, let's get Tailwind in place right now. So Tailwind CSS. Let's just get something more specific. It's just easier. Yeah. So we create a project and let's do this. Okay. So we go back inside the folder. This is why the structure that I used wasn't the best idea. But let's install Tailwind and create like the basic homepage that we had, so that we can, okay, now it's created this configuration file for us where we will be adding stuff. We'll be adding theme, color, stuff, etc., as we go on. Okay, so that's all there, and yeah, we should actually do this that it's asking us to do. Yeah, so here we go in the Tailwind config file and we just add the content, right? So this is just going to tell it like what files to sort of use for this. So since we're using the SRC and everything is inside SRC, we can just use this. So that's what we have here, and we will need to add like our global directives to our CSS file. This is our global CSS file, and we just add the stuff here. Yeah, we should be good after that. So now if we do yarn dev, actually wait. Okay, I can just close this now. All right. So we have a development server up, and then we can try to use Tailwind CSS. Okay, so now we have, let's come to our GitHub and move stuff around. We have actually done this. But actually, before I say that we've done this, let's just try to see if it works as expected. So let's go back to look. Did it start it on localhost 3000? Yes, it did. Okay. What we're going to try to do is like something very, very simple. What does it say? Start by editing this. Okay, let's do that. And index.tx, and say here it has this title. No, not the title. You have stuff saying, okay, let's just say get started by editing this, and right now it's white in color. Let's just change it to red. I'm just checking if this works. One another very useful tool is to add a Tailwind CSS extension. It will be so helpful. Yeah, that this intelligence is really, really useful. So, but it is not showing up right now, which is really annoying me. Okay, let's just search for stuff here. Text, color, and we'll sort of get the class. Yeah, so let's say we do a amber 300. All right, so we have the text color, and this should be as straightforward as this. Oh, I thought amber's red, but yeah, we saw that it changed the color, so it works. Okay, cool. So we can successfully get the dopamine by going from to do to done by doing this basic stuff. Then I would now actually like to work, because we're on the front end, I'd like to finish this first. What we need to do is actually we need to give a gradient on our background. That's like the first stuff. Can I? So wait, sorry, I'm seeing the comments. Can I get Tailwind styles VS Code theme though? Interesting. You can uninstall. Yeah, okay. Should be something more. Okay. Maybe it will start. Okay, it's working now. Yay! Yeah, you can get all the stuff here. Anyway, so now that our first task is to build a screen like this, I think that's going to take up a lot of our time today. Let's see. So we need a gradient. I will actually love to just get on here and no, I already have an account. Don't make me create an account. Okay, so why I'm trying to open that is so that I can check the colors and that we can create a gradient accordingly. No, why can't you let me log in? My life's such a... Okay, probably not the best idea to let it be on stream. Sorry folks. Okay, yes, so I would like to see the non-prototype. Where are my edit rights for this project? Integral silo. Why does Figma not have a search option? How am I supposed to go through my 100 design documents and find the right one? Okay, so apparently it's not going to give me access, but it's all good. We will just use what we have. This is the old designs. Oh, this is the mobile app design actually. Yeah, pretty cool. We're not making a mobile app right now. If maybe by the end of 3 sessions, if we have somehow miraculously made stuff, then we could sure work on a mobile app. But for now, okay, let's search. One thing that I really have fun doing is how gradient color stops. Yeah, I think it's really cool. You can just sort of create gradients using inline CSS here. Quite useful that way. So yeah, sorry about that. Where was I? Here, and we're going to get the colors that are used here. I'm actually feel like cheating a bit and getting it out from my old. Okay, color picker. What am I doing? Sorry guys, I'm a little bit lost here. Okay, so what we want is from here, we want to actually give it our colors, so that, yeah. And what we want to create is not exactly left to right, but it's like, okay, let's see stuff here. It is left to right, and this is actually the old one. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go to the readme of it because it has the prototype link. Yeah. Can't remove GitHub, seriously. Okay, open. And actually, this was, I think I started it pretty well, but this you create React app, and I don't want to use that anymore. I'm really ashamed of using it. But yeah, there was a bunch of stuff here which hopefully we don't need anymore. I actually have the colors here, and I just want to take it from here. So I'm going to do just that. This is how we sort of extend theme. Yeah, so we will just copy this, and let's come back here. I want to go to the tailwind config and sort of extend it here. So yeah, so these are the colors that we have. Unexpected end of input. Is this better? I'm just gonna remove all the unnecessary. Yeah, this is how we would do it. Anyway, so now we have colors that we can extend to, and yeah, stuff that we're using here. Sorry, am I missing anything here? Okay. Alright, so now let's come to our index page, and this is something we just want to do for our body globally. So we can actually go ahead and do that. So let's give it, so we can now get rid of basically all of the content in here. Actually, I'm just going to take this main and delete this, and we create a new main for ourselves. And let's say we add a class name, and obviously we will clean it up a little bit later, where we don't leave the class names to have all the tailwind names. But for now, because we've just started, I think it'd be more easier for us to read it if we actually have all the class names there. So let's just take the stuff that we have here. We want to take bg gradient to r. So yeah, and we want to start from so we basically do have two colors, and we want to use exactly those. So it's called background, and I think it's called background light and then background dark, right? Yeah, okay. Index. I am a little forgetful on the syntax here, so this is not cheating. This is, it's all your work. You can always refer to your old work. That is yeah. So this is sort of what we'll do later, is we'll sort of create like these style classes. Yeah, so from background dark to background light, right? And okay, we have a few errors, and I think that's coming from our CSS file, or not. Unexpected. Okay, going to close this here, and Okay, it really cannot. So we will Google this because that is what all good developers do. We should not forget that. We Google our errors. No, but this is not our first. Is this the next issue and not a Tailwind CSS issue? Let me just see the answers here. Fixture for me. Yeah, I also did create that. Post css.config.js. And we have this. Okay. Alright. We converted it to an AS module. But it didn't really do much for us. Okay. I know I shouldn't have had to close the dev server. Okay, we should not have done this particular tasks. Okay. I think I maybe understand what's happening here because we're trying to make a TypeScript project. Yeah. Let's just check if something's wrong with our config. TypeScript. Alright. So yeah. It's often helpful. See, this is sort of what I'm talking about. Like for tech, I feel there's just so much content, so many communities out there, and very often you do find like that one space where you can find all your answers, and this is not always the case when it comes to science. Yeah, so we set up post css. Oh, I see. So apparently according to this we need to set up Tailwind css. Okay, this is a different format. I would actually trust the official document on this here, and we are on the latest version, so this is something that they would have mentioned here if it was needed, and it was working fine for most. Okay, wait, I'm so confused. This was working fine before. We were having no problems. We were able to change the color, but then suddenly it stopped working. Why? Let's see. Oh, is it because we extended the theme? That's the new addition we made, right? And after that it sort of messed up. So let's see. Theme configuration. Let's see if something has changed here. So in theme you can have screens, you can have colors. Oh, okay. No, okay, you still have extend, and oh, I see. We found the problem, guys. It's a missing parenthesis. Beautiful. We can just use yarn dev now. Wow. Wait, was there an extra or was there a missing one? I guess there was a missing parenthesis. Yep, okay. All good here, and let's just refresh this. Okay, wow, black screen. Exactly what we were going for. No, for reals though. Let's just create a paragraph div, and let's call this paragraph zero. Okay. Yeah. So our problem is also the height. We want to give it okay. IntelliSense, please come to rescue me. Min height full. Does that work? Okay. Let's just. That is the minimum height. Minimum height screen actually. Full works when you have a parent to it, and then it takes the height of the parent. Yes. So we can see that we have the gradient, and it's looking pretty cute. So we can remove this thing from here. Now let's look at the design again. And yeah, not the page we were going to build first. So now we want to build our navigation, and after we are done with the navigation, we will work here, right? So with Next.js, it actually has its own roots. So let's look into that actually. If you worked with React before, yeah, we use React Router there. But let's look at the routing that Next gives us. Yeah. So Next actually, like, we can just read through this here, actually uses the concept of pages. So you can just navigate using the templates here, in the sense that slash index.js is just like your root, and if you have slash blog slash index.js, then that's going to lead you to like slash blog. So we actually don't need to use much here in terms of like a router, because Next handles that routing for us. Yes, okay. So we are here. We want to now create a nav bar, and again, this is all stuff that we will be streamlining a little bit later, but I don't want it to sort of take away from the focus. One thing that would be really useful to do here in our stuff is create a components page. So anything that's not like a full page, that's just helping us, goes here. So file number one that will be useful is the nav bar. Just call it that, and let's copy the basic stuff that we need to import, which is actually nothing. Yeah, so here they're actually using function classes. Perfect, so we don't have to worry about that stuff. No, okay, export default function. We call it navbar, and okay, and here we will say return a div, and for the div we want to give it like width of the whole screen size, and height we want to keep it we want to keep it like actually it would be more useful to give it a more fixed height. So for now I'm just going with 96. Again, disclaimer, I am very bad with CSS, so if you ever have suggestions on how to navigate that, please go ahead and shoot your suggestions. So here on the navigation bar, we see actually we have two buttons, and we have the whole menu thing here. So we can sort of build that here. Let's go about doing that. So we actually want to, maybe here what would be useful is we create a folder for navbar, and inside that we put that. Why I'm doing this is because now inside here I want to create another file that's called navbar item. I'm maybe dividing it a bit too much, but I've realized it's better than repeating your code and then making changes in multiple places. So it's just better to do things this way. So we need two things. We need a navbar button and we need an item. So let's first make our item. Now we want to say that this item actually has props, and we export default function, and navbar should be case like this. Here we want to give it like the title. Yeah, and now because we're using TypeScript, we'll actually have to give types to all our props. So all good. Navbar item props, and because this is an interface, we go here. For now, since we only have a title, we go like this, and this I'm not used to this keyboard. So here on the navbar item, we want to say, okay. Now, why would you not pick up? What am I doing wrong here? How have I forgotten how to write React? Actually, this should just work. Nope. Props. No. Oh, wait. The warning was about, but its value is never read. Oh, that's not a problem. But the problem is that, yeah, this is a bigger problem. This should not be the case. Should be able to use our navigation. This is very weird. Let me see. Why would it not? This is the way to go about it. Are we okay? Yeah, this is how we create an interface, and let me read something. See if I am doing something wrong with TypeScript here. Okay, we yada yada yada. I mean, yeah, that's obviously one way to go about it. But if we want to predefine, yeah, this is exactly the way to go about it. So I wonder what might I be doing wrong? The spellings are identical. Okay. Does it need to be exported? Is that the whole reason why I wouldn't read? Does not exist on type unknown. It can't identify this simple type. Okay, maybe I didn't need this. Oh, sorry. I remembered functional components from React. Yeah, God, that was too weird. Anyway, so what we would like to return for now, okay, let's just keep it a div, is something that has, say, the div, and here it has the title, and we want to link it to something. So here we will use the Next.js link. Yeah. So if we want to just move it from one place to the other, we actually want to cover the entire thing in a link. So let's just use links here. And yeah, so we have link and we just import it from next link. And I don't need to export this actually, so I'm not going to. That goes here, and here we'll say link to slash, let's just use these, are more convenient. And here we want to say title, and we actually need to put these inside curly brackets to ensure that yeah. So oh, it's not two, sorry, a lot of old stuff that I cannot forget. So yeah, we have created a link with titles and stuff, so this is like the basic stuff. Now what we'd have to do is put some sort of styling to it, because as we can see, we want a sort of, when you hover on it, you want the color to change, you want that to be outline. So all of this can actually be very easily covered by a Tailwind. So let's just come here, let's give it class names. So originally we want the text to be white, 500, we want it to be bold, So let's check what's the property for bold. Oh yeah, font weight, right? So we want it to be font to be bold. Yeah, so the font is bold, and then we want to say when you hover on it, then we want the text to be blue 500, and actually 400 would be nicer. And then we also want on hover for there to be font under, no, text, no, decoration, what is it called? Okay, let's do hover underline and offset it by 1. So this should cover our beginning. Now here let's just create const of items, and actually there I did this horrible thing where I'm navigating via the title. I don't need to do that. I can actually give it the root here, and yes, and just destructure it, destructure it here, and voila, we're done. So in the nav bar now we want to create objects with title. Let's come back and look at our design. So we want resources and upload. Let's start from there, right? So resources, and root right now will be /resources, and we obviously want to create a second object like this where we call it upload, and then the root we want to call it upload as well. So now we have these items, and what we can do is we can sort of map through these items, and we can say nav bar nav bar item, and then we can give it title is equal to item.title, and root is item.root. Okay, so yeah, basic stuff that we're expecting to show. Like, we're expecting for 2 of our titles to show up here. Okay, I'm just checking comments right here. What are the programming languages used? We are using TypeScript, and the framework that we're using is Next.js, and TypeScript is basically just a typed version of JavaScript. So it's going to look very familiar, just you have to type it a bit more, so it's a little bit more strict. Yeah. Okay, so moving on now, we have to do a couple of things. Put it in the index file, of course, but apart from that, here we can see that our nav bar is sort of towards the left, sort of towards the right. So let's also make that adjustment here. Okay, actually, because we have given this like a full width screen, so maybe we can just put the icon here. For now, let's just assume that this is going to show on the left. So for the index, just gonna take here, and on the nav bar we want to export it. So what we want to import is just nav bar, and that is done. So voila. Okay, my laptop is dying, so I will take a 2-minute break, drink some water, charge my laptop, and come back to this. So today we'll focus on finishing all of this, and maybe also sort of bootstrap our server. See how that goes. Okay, see you all. Hey everyone, so I'm back and so is my laptop. So where were we? Building this page. Yes, we wanted to see the result of our. So okay, here obviously now we can see that there's stuff that's not correct here, and we know why that is because we've not given it any display rules or any styling around that. So let's go ahead actually and do that for a nav bar. So here what we want to tell the nav bar is we want to make it a flex, and we want to make it a flex row, so that everything sort of is next to each other. That should have worked. Okay. We see there are invalid refs, of course, because I should not add this. If in the root I'm already giving it a yes. So that, and let's look at the flex rules here. So we need to create a flex, and then inside of it we create more flex objects. So let's say we have created flex row here. So for the item we will have to give it a, let me remove the offset here, and let's just say this is flex 1. So we want all of them to sort of take similar space. And another problem here is that we have not defined sort of a width. So it assumes right now, okay, if we look at the inspect, we can see that it probably assumes like a fuller width. So let's see what it would pick up automatically. Nothing useful. Okay, so let's just give it a fixed width right now. 64 is probably too much. We could always take away from it, but that does not work. Let's see. So we have this here, and we want to, okay, so what I'm going to try to do is, it's probably CSS that we need to put here and not here, and here we tell it that its width is somewhere around 44. Actually it should be multiples of 8, right? So 40. Yeah, okay, so wow, who thought the hardest part of this stream would be to just get everything properly inlined? Genius. Absolutely wonderful. One more thing I want to do here is just like put a little bit of padding in general, like the padding property is just P5, P10. Do a little bit of that. This is just okay. So we at least know navigation's working. Clicked on resources, did not come up as expected. We can see an outline here, so that is working properly. An offset would actually be pretty nice here, so let's see if the offset works. So just, I really need that offset. Offset 1 would have been good, and here no, offset 1 just completely obliterates any underline whatsoever. I would love to get into the depths of it and understand why that's happening, but I also want to make some more progress today. Yes, so this, now the only problem that we've not been able to solve is why the div is sort of not showing up as a flex. So we have a flex row which should technically list all items in a row format. So what's going wrong here? Let's see. Flex wrap. Flex. We actually don't want it to wrap, just grow. Flex item to shrink but not grow. Okay. maybe let's try to use flex initial. And yeah, not very useful. Okay, this is where I'm going to give up on Safari and move my development to Chrome. Where is my spotlight source? Okay. Where is Chrome? Where did you open? Okay. Alright. I see what it's doing. It has taken my StreamYard Google Chrome to mean all of, okay, it. Now let's just push you on the other screen, and there we go. Sorry folks, just give me a second. And yep, okay, good to be back on Chrome. Not what we need, and we just open localhost here. So wow, now we can at least go here and see what's happening with our, okay, so we can see that it's sort of, it's getting this height, it's getting this width that, like, for the whole class it's somehow this much, which it should not be. So we're going to try to fix this, because once we fix this, the flex row should be fixed. And height 96 is actually too much for our nav bar, so we're going to cut it down by quite a bit. Okay, so let's come here and let's move this to 40. And for our navbar items, we want to actually restrict the width. So let's try doing that. And now when we see, this is still pretty huge. I'll make it even smaller. So we would want to go for something like 24, maybe, for our navbar's height. But for the items, we should really be looking for a different way to get rid of this. We see here, like, the width is actually, like, we give it a 12 width, but that's somehow not the case here. So this gets a smaller width, but this does not. Okay, this is a beautiful lemma. Okay, just gonna remove this inconsistent behavior from here. And if we look at our stuff now, it's still problematic, but at least it's consistent. Okay, right, so we don't want this. Okay, let's see. Flex and line, and give it like a super small width and see if, so width is apparently not doing anything to it. Let's see what's actually giving it the computed width. All right, so it's actually beautiful what you can do from browsers here. And yeah, here we are, and it's getting line height, which is okay. The width should actually just have been 4 pixels, but so then where is it getting the width from? Border box, nope. Let's, can it show me the baffling, truly. Wow, I wish I had like a shorter way to solve this problem, but it looks like this is going to take majority of my stream away. Anybody has any suggestions here for what I could possibly be doing wrong? I'm just going to remove the flex property from here. Okay, so it's definitely coming from Next.js's link, is what my understanding is, because it seems to have like this full height, full width. Okay, so let's check with stuff here. Inherited from HTML. Nope. No. Sorry, I read some comments here. Add ring class name, won't have to inspect. Fair, yeah. Okay. So flex one and okay. So okay, I'm just going to try to convert that to a flex, just a flex, not a flex row. And yeah, okay, something problematic, something's fixing itself. At least they're moving now. So let's make this a flex. Let's keep this auto. And we would like to have this as this. And yeah, now we can see that, like, because the width is auto, it's just like stuck to each other. What we would want to do is just like give it some padding throughout. So yeah, there we go with this. Again, as mentioned, I will actually want to test how to use underline offset, because it's important. I want there to be an offset, you know. So yeah, let's try again. I hope I've got the spelling correctly. Yeah, so now we have it on our Chrome, and with the offset, it's like, I think what we'd have to probably do is increase the line height. That's what I would have thought, but it doesn't seem that way. Okay, so okay, it's only the first letter font bold. That's what I thought looked a little weird. Interesting that you can do that, but we don't need to do that. Yeah, so there's this, and actually what we can do is make this semi-bold. IntelliSense is not coming to help me, is it? And on hover, we can say font bold. Yeah, little better that way. Yeah, and let's just check. Okay, then CSS underline offset disappears, right? Nope. Apparently no one else has faced that issue. It's just us. Okay, so all of that is there. Now let's actually focus. So if I see here, I like that there is a nice underline that actually comes up after a bit, like leave some space between like the text. So since we can't get that right now, it's okay. I'm gonna cry about it later. I think the font size is all right. Now let's build our buttons and push the whole thing to the right hand side, right? Now we want to create buttons here. So and actually I've called it a navbar button, but it actually be more useful to just put it in components, and we'll just call it a button. Yeah, because I'm sure we're going to be using this all the time in all the other places as well. So here we want to make okay, we create our interface where we want to give it the title, which will be a string. Then we want to give it the color. So here we can see that there are like two types. One is with a fill and one is without a fill. So we can just make a fill boolean to this. So what it would actually take in is the title and the fill, and just we can do this here. Then we return this div structure that is, we now create, yeah, so we're creating like a custom button here. We can actually cheat on this. We can search for Tailwind CSS button. I know this is very similar to Bootstrap, but I actually don't want all of the stuff there. So, and this is actually using their component library probably. So I'm actually going to just make it by myself. Let's come here and see. We want it to be rounded. We want there to be a bit of a padding. We want the text to be white regardless. And what else do we want? Actually, for the padding, on the Y we need it to be 2, but on the x-axis we need it to be 5. Since we can see here it's like a bit further from this, and for the width we would like it to be 16. What else? We like there to be a bit of a shadow, so let's try to put a small size shadow there. And now is the time to talk about the fill. So we would actually like to make this a bit more conditional here. Actually, not really. I tried a few things, and here is where I think it's going to get a bit messy, and it'd be nicer to keep it in files, these strings, because now they're going to, with our conditions, they're going to get a bit more, yeah. So we will have to repeat this. From what I remember, it's not very good at stringing it together. Maybe it is, but let's try that later. So we want there to be when there is a fill, we want there to be a gradient. So let's say, how did we make a gradient? It says, yeah, BG gradient to, oh no, it has taken away our advertisements. Yay, you're back. BG gradient to the right, then it starts from, okay, it starts from black in a way to blue. It's not any of the colors that we already have there, so it's like blue 400. Yeah, and when there is no fill, then we want there to be a border, and let's see if we can put like a gradient in the border. So border gradient, we can't do that. It's a lot of wishful thinking. Now I could always create another rectangle behind it, but I think it's just too much trouble. I see I've missed a few comments here. Should I get back to it? Okay, what are the norms and the standards applied by the project lifestyle development for this? So we're trying to, okay, let me just show you here. We're trying to create a GitHub repository. We're trying to maintain a project with issues, pull requests, everything. It's obviously a vision that we have, but at the end of the day, this is a live stream project. It's always going to be like a bit more hacky than a project that you give full proper focus and attention to. So there is that. Did you see the sandbox method? I am not sure what's meant here. And I see there are a lot of interesting questions, but I am going to come back to them very soon. But let's try to get this thing done first. So for our thing here now, we'd like to have a border, and let's just give it a plain border, since we can definitely like not do yeah, I think sky actually works for us. So we can do a border too, and we can do border sky 500. I like the sky color. And I'll actually change the gradient here to come to sky 500 as well. So a little bit more consistency. So yeah, here we have our button prop. And for the roundedness, I think I'm doing something a little bit incorrectly. Oh no, it's just rounded, because I think we can define how rounded we want it to be, because this is like too generic right now. Anyway, on the nav bar now we want to have the buttons. Okay, interesting thing to add here is, because technically it's all of it as a nav bar, everything's going to navigate to a different page. So why don't we just define a type here? So let's create an enum that says navbar item type, and then we can create one that is navbar item type. One we can say is text, and the other we can say is a button. So this goes there, and here we can say type and navbar item type dot text. So text, and then we can create two new things, which will be title will be login, and root here would be /login. Then for the type of this, we can tell it to be navbar item type dot button, and more stuff coming here would be what do we call it? Sign up, sign in, sign up. Sorry, sign in would just be like the same as login. Root, sign up, and type item type dot. Another problem here is that because we have two different kinds of buttons, but we have no way of telling this here like what kind of button it needs to be. It just says button right now, so we can actually define either two kinds of buttons. That's what I'm thinking in my head right now, because else we'd have to like manually put stuff here, and I'm sort of anti that. I want to be able to just call a list and just have everything show up according to that. Yeah, so fill button is one, and okay, right, fill button and border button. Okay, so login is actually our border button, and this is our fill button. And here in the types, now we can create conditional operators. So let's do that. Item dot type is equal to text. So that this happens, else if here I want to say then if item dot type is equal to fill button, right? Yeah. Then we want A to happen, else we want B to happen, and here we will just call a button and another one here, and then here we will say title is equal to item dot root, sorry, title is item dot title, and we actually forgot a root field here. We will call this link, and that will be a string. And we would have to actually wrap this whole thing up inside this. I forgot the shortcut to wrap existing component into something. If anybody remembers, please put it on the comments. Okay, so yes, and this is a user import I think from somewhere that we do not need. Link to sorry, Ken using tool. Okay, so there's this, and I want to give it link. Link is item dot root, and then there is our fill, which here is true, and in our next button it's actually going to be false. Oh, so for this we can actually simplify the whole thing. Remove this from here, and we can just put this condition inside of here, and we are done. Okay, we were able to streamline this quite a bit. I actually want to control alt 0. No, wait. I am trying to wrap text, but again can't remember the shortcut. I remember it to be alt shift 0 something. Okay, now is the time for truth, to see if this actually works as we would expect it to. I'm just going to copy this bit to our link here. Okay, so let's time for truth, right? Okay, not as pretty as we like to be, but we're getting there. So the width is actually not the best that we've picked up here. The width, let's just make it auto and see how that is. Okay, bit better, looking nicer. Definitely the gradient is still not working for us as it should have, and I can probably reduce a little bit of the padding that's being put. So we're on a Y2, we'll just bring it to a Y1. And the other thing I wanted to change is definitely the gradient. So what I will do is I will not start from black. I'll start from like sky 800 or something. Okay, little cuter now, if I may. And actually PY2 was pretty fine. We would actually now want to make sure that these look similar, so that, like, they're not on the same height right now, because the py on resources and upload is actually 5, and for these it's 2. So a little bit of that, and in nav bar there should be some space between the children, so we'd want to adjust that a little bit. So first, coming here, let's make this more consistent with what's happening up here. Yeah, so they're all a bit more in sync. We will also give sign up a border, because it looks like because of the border the login thing is actually becoming bigger. So let's come here, and so okay, on hover we want to make this have a fill. That's actually looks interesting. Okay, so okay, let's come here on the button. For the non-filled one, we want to say that when we hover, then give us a BG gradient to right, and we want to start from red 400, and that's right, that's where we're starting from, and we want to go to sky 500 to, okay, to sky 500, yeah, maybe a bit darker later if we realize that's the vibe. Yeah, so we have given a hover here, fix that. Another thing we want to fix is probably just give a little bit more space right here. So let's do flex, no, wrap, justify content, justify items. So we can say justify item stretch for now. Yeah, justify items stretch, and if we look at it, it hasn't really stretched. But yeah, this sort of came to being. Definitely we could use a more darker shade of blue. So let's do that. Darker shade of blue, and also we would like to change the position of the gradient stop. So right now it's like center to center, we don't want to do that. We actually would like to okay, so it doesn't let us change the position of the color stop, which is a little bit restrictive, but for now we'll work with it. So here we can say that it comes via red, no, via no, okay. I think red would become a little bit, I don't know how this is gonna come out. I'm just very curious to see what that'd be like. Not nice at all. Okay, so let's start from a darker color of red and go via a lighter color, and hopefully that transition will appear. It does not appear smoother. Like what we have here in our prototype actually doesn't look that ugly, but what we have with us, okay, that's why I said we might have to try a darker color here. So this can, maybe I need to remove the via, and we go to a darker red color, and for the sky we can actually go to 800, and okay, a little bit better. I'm going to call it a day here and move on to actually like creating some distance between our the different objects that we have here. So let's do that. So we want to create a sort of flex that has justify item stretch didn't work. So no, okay. Tailwind, CSS, distance between divs and flex. Oh, space between. Oh, this is really nice. Yes. We can just put this on the main div. Let's try that. Okay. Space x4. So on the x-axis, we want to give like a space of 4. And it looks like it has worked. One thing that I would sort of do here is go to our bar item and just remove the x-axis padding that we've put there, because I think a lot of it will now be covered using the distancing formula here, and we can make them a little bit more distant, and voila, we have our navigation bar looking sort of like what we'd imagined it would in the Figma. really hard to meet like the actual expectations of a Figma mockup. I find that one of the hardest things about web development. Um, we want to hover here, and I want to have a border that's solid, or border that is 2. Okay, just the width, and border hover border sky 400. Is that what we're 500 is what we're sticking with? Do that, and here we come, and yeah, we can see sort of hover activities here, and looking close to what we have seen. Now let's just push it to the right, put our logo, and we'd have a beginning nav bar ready. Okay, so for the nav bar, I want to actually do flex flex end, no, the end is it called flex end, justify direction, maybe flex row reverse should maybe work. And here it made it into a column. Why? Should I say flex color reverse? No, that actually does not make sense. Okay, so okay, flex, no, flex is our problem. Let's try to create a sort of order here. That's not what we want. Justify content, we actually want to justify it to the end, so justify end is probably what I was, yay. Okay, so we said justify end, it did that, and now we sort of have, my screen's pretty big, so maybe it's not like the best idea of where we are in terms of our design, but maybe look a little bit more like this on a smaller screen. But we could definitely try to increase the font later on if we need to. I'll put it on a 125% here. So we have our login, sign up, resources upload, blah blah. And yeah, now what we can try to do is just push everything to our GitHub so that you can all also play with it. Right now, you can check the branch that you're on main, and if you remember, we actually can't push directly to main. So I'm going to check out to a new branch, and let's call it front end that we initialize to. Then I'm going to add all the changes I made and commit it saying initialize next.js project with TypeScript and Tailwind CSS. Actually, I should have probably made a commit before. When I initialize the project, and as I make incremental changes, I should be committing to it. So I can always like go back to an older version. But we'll try to be a bit more careful of this moving forward. So we've done that. Now all we have to do is just push to the branch. So if we just directly do git push, it wouldn't work because it wouldn't know which branch to push it to. So when we like tell it the name of the branch, that is when it'll map it with it. So right now front end doesn't exist on our remote server, so it'll sort of create one for us. So now we can come here on our project and we can see that there's been a push to the front end branch. We can then compare this and create a pull request. This is something we'll have to do for any of the changes that we make. Okay, so merging is blocked without reviews, but I can review it because I am the owner. So I'm going to put okay, apparently I can't request myself as a reviewer, so I will actually have to go and change that. Let's check what's the rule here. Requires approval. Okay, let's I'm going to remove that for now and just save our changes, and it's going to ask me to authenticate. Oh, it didn't. Beautiful. Okay, so please don't misuse it. Yeah, no reviews are required, but please just don't go ahead like merging pull requests on this project right now. I will improve the security before tonight. We will just squash and merge this here, and yeah, co-authored and confirm squash and merge, and there we go. And we can just delete the extra branch. We don't want too many random branches in here. So you can clone, like you can, so now what you can do is so on your system you don't have this code, right, and you've already cloned. So what you would just do is you would do git pull, and it would pull the new code for you. What I'm going to do first is just move to main. So as you can see, if I move to main, my main does not have any of the code, right? So then I'll just do a git pull, and it just fetches all the new changes. So even if you make changes, I can fetch them now, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so wow, it has been about 2 hours, folks, and I would say we got a fair amount of work done. We set up our next project, Tailwind with it, and we actually built a decent looking navbar here. So next time, let's try to actually build forms, connect to our server, and next time we'll focus a little less on the design aspects on it and a bit more on the server and the functionality. Yeah, I love how people have the spirit to say that they'll exploit it before tonight. Well, okay, no problems. GitHub has beautiful things called just reverting all the changes. I guess I'll have to just do a bit of that cleanup, but we will be all good. Yeah, folks, so now if you want, you can always go ahead and create issues here, and you can submit pull requests, and we can review that in our next stream. I have my next session is on I want to say Wednesday, but no, Wednesday is tomorrow. My next session is actually on Thursday at give me the time. Okay, so it's at 11:30 a.m. IST. So yeah, if you're planning to continue working on this, learn a bit more Next.js and Tailwind with me, please join me for my next session on Thursday. And it has been lovely just sitting here coding with all of you. Hope you all had a great time as I did. If you have any questions, please drop them now. I can do like a 5-minute Q&A before I drop off. Okay. How did you use CSS flexbox method? Technically we did use the concept of flexbox because we used flexes, but yeah, we used it via Tailwind, so we didn't have to write too much, but we still had to consider where our flex needs to be, what kind of property the children need. But yeah, we did use the flexbox for this. We weren't using grid. Okay, and so yeah, do not use CSS grid. Hope that. Okay, glad you all liked it, and see you all later if there are no questions here left on the stream. Have a wonderful time and enjoy the other streams. Bye bye.